Welcome back, shop rats. Today here in the shop we're back on the Stitches Challenger. I haven't been out here much in the last couple of weeks, but try to come out here on the weekends and get some things done. I had planned to be working on finishing those doors for that 86 pickup, but it is in the 70s today and about 99.6% humidity. I got to get these cars out of here to paint, so that's not happening. So I thought one of the things that bugs me is this spot in here is kind of, well, it just doesn't look good compared to the rest, and we got a little patching to do and so forth, so let's tackle that today and then see where we go from there. Let's watch the show intro, see in about 30 seconds, and remember this, the stuff that we do here doesn't just apply to a 70 Challenger, but can apply to any project that you're working on. All right, we'll see you in 30 seconds. I'm Mike, and this is My Car Shop.
Working out of a 100-year-old refurbished barn, bringing 35 years of experience to projects considered beyond repair. Vision, creativity, and problem solving are essential tools in this place. Watch as we transform junk into polished metal miracles. This is My Car's Shop.
It's one of the things that surprises people where we live here is just how humid it is. It right now reminds me of when I was in Brazil during the rainy season. A lot of humidity, everything's clammy, everything's soggy, and then it just gets worse as the temperature pushes up. Thank God it's not in the 80s or 90s today, but it's hotter in Michigan than most people think, especially when it's this high humidity, at least in this part of Michigan. But anyway, enough whining. So I want to get after this and get some work done here and then see where we go. I have a hard time wanting to do any kind of fabrication once the weather gets nice for a couple of reasons. Number one, this humidity sucks. And when it's nice out, I prefer to be doing things with cars that I can be driving. But I know you guys really want to see more content on this, so, well, let's just stop talking and do it. She's looking good. Got a little teeny bit more cleanup work to do up in here, but yeah, it looks good. A little teeny bit of pinhole rust there, nothing major. We'll get this blown out up in here. There's a lot of dirt up in that cowl we need to deal with. When you tip the car, it's coming out everywhere. So we got to deal with this down here. That'll be a pretty simple little patch to make, so I think we'll do that next and get that patched up, and then this area in here will be, you know, be all done. We'll just have to finish it up. I need to unbolt that fender brace. Yeah, that fender, Freddy Fender, that's it. It's Freddy Fender. We got to get that off of there. Creatures great and small living in there, pulling insulation and nuts and berries and all kind of stuff. And I cut that with my grinding wheel. I didn't realize I didn't have a cutting wheel on there. So we're gonna blow all that out of there. Everything underneath looks good, I think. We'll make a decision on that in a minute, but it's good. Oh, I got a little spot right there. Look at that. We'll have to fix that, no biggie. Yeah, and I saw one other one besides the one here, so I'm not gonna worry about right now. Thought I saw another one. Nope, I guess not. I think we're good. So we'll get that patched up here and we'll deal with that one. She's got some pits in there, but everything feels solid. So that's good. Very good. So we'll just put some rust converter on that. It'll be fine. Okay. Let's get our, I guess I'm not even going to need to get the air chisel out for that. And we will. And I got to split this over here and get that one little lip off of there, because this piece comes up, bends this way and this way, and then, well, kind of that, and then there's a, you know, it goes this way over here, so. Found this piece here. I think it's a piece of 18 gauge. It'll work well. I'll just need to cut some off. But the reason I was calling attention to it is I looked at it and realized I was practicing butt welding with my TIG welder. That's the back side, and that's the front side. So probably there was a video on this at some point about that. Yeah, that looks pretty darn good. I hate to cut it apart. Okay, so the patch is made. We got to put our little in there, and then I've already put the mark on it, but we've got to cut this down over here, so we'll zip that down on the other side and get that trimmed up. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and hammer and dolly this line in here rather than getting fancy. I thought about stretching this a little bit, but this is so straight over in here, and I think this line kind of faded out, so we'll just give that just a little over here, just to carry that line on part way. And it also goes up at an angle. I guess I better, sorry for the shaky camera there, guess I better do that as well. Not that anybody's going to see it or anybody cares. I could leave it just like that and weld it up and whoop-de-doop-de. And in fact, I'm not even going to cut and butt this or anything. I'm just going to weld it, put it in there. It's patched behind the fender. Who's going to see it? You know, it's about getting her done. I put that in the vise like that, and I'm just going to tink, 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 tink a little bit and get her bent over, and I'll show you what it looks like here in just a second. All right, there we go. Just continue that line on. We'll get this attached down here first, and then I got to cut this off over here yet, but we'll get this attached down here first, and then we'll kind of tink that in a little bit. Yes, I could be putting it behind. I should be putting it behind. I'm not putting it behind because I don't want to. I'm just going to solid weld it. Fine, good enough, you know. Get her done, get on with it. So we're gonna let that dry for a bit, and I got my 2 spot weld holes I want to put here marked out. I'm just gonna solid weld it across the top, so who cares? But just to note, this is 18 gauge metal here, so I don't want to drill my holes for the flange this way, because this metal here is heavier than this metal here, so I'm gonna drill my holes this way to spot weld, so that I'm welding the thinner metal to the heavier metal rather than the heavy metal to the thin metal, because less chance of blowing through. So I can use just a touch more heat. I'm just going to solid weld across the top and solid weld down here, and that'll do that. All right, and as the saying goes, good enough for the girls we go with. So get that welded in there now. It's painted on the back side. Got my plug weld holes here. We'll put some spots down here. We'll get this pinched a little bit tighter. We're going to start spotting here. Then we'll pinch this together over here, and then we'll do these, and then bzz, and bzz, and bzz, and bzz, and bzz, and bzz, and it'll be all bzz. Just like that. And I'm not going to do much more. I'll dress this up just a touch, but again, it's behind the fender, so who cares? We got our spot welds. Oops, looks like I got to do a little more filling on those spot welds. I missed that. We'll get that done. I got interrupted here for a second, so that's normal. I'm going to go ahead and grind this, and then we'll shoot around there and do that. All right, I got a patch cut in here now, and we'll go ahead and work on getting that finished up. It's not quite the way I want it yet, but I needed to get it underneath there so I could figure out where to put this edge. Because this one, this one I don't care, you can't see. This one you'll be able to see a little bit, so I want to do a little better job with the metal finishing on this one. So now that I got it in there, I can peen this metal over a little bit, kind of figure out exactly where I'm going to cut it, bend this back a little bit, cut that, put it back. Getting closer, a little bit of trimming up here. This one's right, a good nice butt. This one's not. So I got to go up there and just snuggle that, unless, maybe no, it's still got to come a little bit. Yeah, we get up in here and we're fine, and then when we get up to that line. So we just got to pop it back out of there and trim just a little bit more up there, and I think we'll be good to go. It's got to be tapped a little bit right there, but it's fitting good there, and it fell down on me again. These magnets are not the duckiest things in the world, but anyway, I had it fitting really good. I'll show you again. All right, so anyway, I took my time and I went through. So I'm going to start down here, give me a couple tacks. I got to do a little bit of peening right up in there. It's a little bit wide up there, but that'll work. We're good here. So I want to get a couple tack welds in, and then we'll have to weld in this corner and get that kind of worked back out again. I'm not going to make it perfect, but again, it's just a matter of I don't want to spend tons and tons of time on something that's not terribly visible on a car like this. Context is everything. So contexts are not just the ones you get from your relatives in prison. 27.6 hours later, spot welding. It's in there. Had a couple of, I had to do some fill welding in there because I cut that too wide, but that's fine. So the next step now is we'll go ahead and get this ground down and get it finished up. So the worst part of this is going to be grinding in here, so we'll put that off till last, and we'll get the rest of this ground up real quick. This won't take long. And then I'm just going to go over it with a little bit of tiger hair, and that'll be done. Was going along really well. I was being real careful with the grinders, and I went after with the wire wheel to clean things up a little bit more, and I wasn't being careful, and I burned through on that corner, so I got to run a bead there and fill that in, but it's getting close. It's looking good. Like I said, I'll share the screw ups with you too, because I was using the twisted wire wheel instead of the loose one. The loose one would have probably not done that, and I just wasn't paying attention. And but we're real close to being able to just give that a little shot of tiger hair, and I'm not going to get crazy about it. It's good enough. So I'll just fill that in a little bit, and then we'll... All right, got her welded back up, and now I know that metal's going to be a little bit thin, so I'm going to grind only the weld there and not the metal around it, because I already know I've ground that a little much, which is why it blew away. So just got to be careful with that. And should be good. And I know, like I said, we're going to skim coat it anyway, so it doesn't have to be perfect here. I'd rather just take a little bit of time and do the Bondo than sit here and spend an hour and a half metal finishing this perfectly. It's just not, doesn't make sense for where it is, especially not on this car. And voila, there we go. So we'll go ahead and put a little skim coat. I'm not going to do anything in here yet because I'm not ready to really deal with the jam. My goal was to deal with this over here, and I got to do a little stripping up in here yet. We'll get the big grinder out for that. Take that bracket off, as I said. I want to get this in the rust conditioner and then get it in the black primer. So it just occurred to me that I think this might be, you can correct me if I'm wrong for those of you who've been here from the very first videos, but this might be the first bit of Bondo that I've actually put on this car. Well, I guess maybe, no, I don't think I put any on the rear valance either, so this could be a milestone that we're spreading a little mud. So I got a piece of cardboard, but remember that cardboard will, or I've said this before, but not everybody watches everything I do. So cardboard will absorb the solvents, and that kind of can mess up your mix. So this cardboard is coated with Bondo first, so it's got a layer of Bondo on it, and then I use it so it doesn't absorb that. So just a word to the wise from the idiot. I often wonder how many gallons of Bondo I have spread in my life. Certainly guys have spread a lot more than me, don't get me wrong. But I've done a fair bit of cars over the last 40 plus years, so I'm sure it's, a lot. All right, so realistically, it's going to take a couple coats, but I thought I would get it as close as I can. And that way, I don't have to mix it and spread it and mix it and spread it. Besides that, this is tiger hair, and technically I should go over that with regular Bondo because it's easier to work with. So we'll see how this goes once this is dry. It's drying pretty good today. There's a lot of humidity in the air, and that actually helps dry the product. In my opinion, a little bit better because it helps wick the solvents out of it. But I could be wrong, but that just seems to me like that's what happens. So there's a lot of varying factors, but okay, I think we'll start out just I think I'll put it on a block first. I was going to hand sand it, but I think I'll throw it on a block first, and then we'll hand sand some of it when we're done with that. So we got it kind of rough sanded, peeled in a couple spots, but actually it didn't really peel so much as it was just high spots there. But it's looking good. So we'll go ahead and let that dry just a bit more. And then we're going to go ahead and put a layer of regular Bondo over that just to finish it off a little bit. We won't sand that probably. Well, we'll start with that rough grit stuff, but then we'll finish it off with something a little bit smoother. Of course, it's got to have primer and all kinds of other stuff put over it, but it's a good step forward there. And so now we sit here and watch grass grow while waiting for it to dry. But I don't want to stir up any of this. I need to clean this a little better up here. But I don't want to stir any of that up and get that rusty stuff into that plastic until it dries. So it'll be really thin when we're done. Just, yep, little by little. It's a lot of compound curves and contours in there to try to sort out. So it's all good. All right, kind of got it roughed in. We got one little spot that keeps coming through. Must be just a touch of a high spot. We'll get that out in the primer. We can always put a little fill in there, but I'm going to hit that with some etching primer now and build up a couple layers. I got a couple feather edges that, well, no matter what, we're going to have feather edges showing up because primer is what makes that disappear. And until we get some good, heavy, thick polyester or something on there, there's going to be edges, but it'll be fine. So looks good. Nice heavy coat of lacquer self-etcher on there. And so as soon as that dries a little bit, we'll go up here, get this cleaned up with the DA, and then we can start getting the rust conditioner on that. And we'll hit this one more time with another coat as soon as that dries up. I flooded it right on there, so it's going to take a little bit. So I can't do this till that's dry. All right, all cleaned up, rust conditioned, got the brackets off, got everything DA'd down one more time. Everything's good. I'm only going to this edge here for now because I want to do the door jamb as a different project because it's going to take some different prep work because it's an actual, surface that needs to be painted with the real paint. So yeah, we're looking good. So let's get some black primer on there and see what we got. Right, so we're just letting the paint dry, and then we'll go over and show you what we got. And got this out because it's licensed and insured, and gonna go for just a short little putt today. See how things are. I just put the new points condenser, rotor cap, all that stuff in there because it was starting to break up, and I kept sanding the points down, and it wasn't really helping. I think the condenser was flaking out a little bit, so it's got the right stuff in it now. So anyway, we'll be back to this here in just a moment.
Right after these words from our sponsor.
Well, that's definitely going to have to do it. I've got company coming from out of town, so I've got to clean up the compound and clean up myself. But let's walk over and take a peek at what we got. Try not to trip over anything. I think that looks pretty good. There our patches are, and we haven't done any finished sand work on this yet. Not too bad, fairly respectable. There'll be more video on the outro of all of that, of course. So yeah, drop it in the comments. Tell us what you think. I was hoping to get that rocker panel done, but I got cut short by several hours today. So I got to get this wrapped up, and I got other things to do this weekend as well. So there you go on that. So as I said, that's going to do it for this one. We're on the Face Thing. We're over on Instagram, /mycarshop. We're here on the Youth Thing, so subscribe. Why not? It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. And everybody benefits. Don't forget to check out our merch. We've got t-shirts and stickers and koozies and all kind of stuff over there that you can order. You'll be sporting your My Cars Shop swag. All right. We'll catch you on the flip side.
Rock!